Hi, how's it going?
Well, yet again, we laugh again at the beginning. Welcome back to Coffee Time with Carolina Kristal.
How are you all today? I hope you're doing well. We're talking about an issue today that's kind of going to be a little bit personal and emotional, and something that doesn't get really talked about a lot due to being so emotional, people so emotional about it and keeping a lot in. We're talking about loss and dealing with loss and mechanisms and of how we deal with loss. I'll touch on a little bit about my story with loss. You know, I've experienced a lot of loss in my life, and the last probably nearly 2 years in February would be of my mum. So my mum passed away nearly 2 years ago, and you know, as she had cancer, so she passed away. It was pretty quick. It was about 5 months and since we knew. And so what I've learned through a lot of the periods is dealing with it. There's no way of kind of dealing with it. Everyone deals with things the way that they deal with them. I guess I started grieving even when I found out she was very sick and there's not much more they could do about it. You start grieving from then, because you start preempt grieving, and that's actually a term. And you start grieving and start knowing that it's going to come, but then nothing can describe to you when something like that does come. You do have strength that you don't know that you exist and have, just that we're built with, mechanisms that we're built with. And we know obviously your world gets topped. My world got topped upside down. She was my everything, so it was really hard to, and also with my daughter as well. She was really, really close with my daughter, so it was just a hard process. Just
to interrupt as well, you know, like with your daughter being so young, that would be hard to kind of have to explain to her what's happening and kind of trying to be strong for yourself and for your daughter.
Really hard. I had times where I just broke down and I couldn't endure it, but then I built a little bit of a mechanism with her, and she would ask me, you know, where's Nonna, and why is she coming back, and is she in heaven, what's heaven look like, and all these questions would come about, and I had to just repeat them with her. And it's times that she was comforting me, poor girl. You know, like I was crying, and she's like, and she was very, I think at the start, this 6 months before my mum passed away, I'm quite spiritual, and there was times when she was saying certain things that only my mum would say. So, and there's no way that she would know. She came up to me one time, I was crying in the bedroom, and she's like, comes and hugs me, and she says, Nonna's with you. Nonna doesn't want you to be sad. She wants you to smile. She wants you to be happy. From a 3-year-old then.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's not her talking. No. That's something else. So there's a lot. So and so it was a really big process. I had a lot of counselling. I had a lot of bereavement counselling, which I got myself.
Did that help you?
Yes, tremendously. It was good just to talk about a third party and just talk about it, because what happens is with grief, and my husband lost both of his parents as well, so I've dealt with even my mother-in-law, and I've dealt a lot with grief and with this subject as well. And what I've found is in the first, say, couple of months or month, everyone's on you and are you okay and how you feeling.
It's a constant reminder of what you've had to go through, of losing that loved one, and having to kind of, I guess, relive it over and over again each time you see someone and they say, how are you, hope everything's okay, and you know, like they're all passing on their condolences for, you know, it goes on for quite a while, so that must be,
it's hard, but you know, also too, everyone is on you and, you know, seeing if you're okay and checking on you, but then after that, life goes on and people just automatically assume that you're doing okay. It's worse when no one's around. That's when it really hits you.
For sure.
So for me, the first year, you know, I knew after the 3 months it was just hell on earth. I really went slumming it down, but what I did is I did the wrong thing in some ways. I dwelled into work. I got really, really busy and made myself really busy. It's good to do that with a focus, but not too much, because what happened with me is as soon as I slowed down last January, I got absolutely crashed. I had a meltdown, literally. I literally had a meltdown, and it was because I was suppressing all those feelings and emotions for that long.
No time to actually grieve and process everything that has happened that you've gone through. You need
and
that
and
time.
that's why, like, I know that everyone grieves differently, but my biggest advice for anyone is sit with your grief. I know it is the most scariest and hard thing to do, but you have to sit with it. If you cry, you cry. You know what? You're not weak to cry. You're strong.
That's right.
You're strong of just going through what you've just gone through. You know,
you're only human.
You're only human.
At the end of the day, crying is just letting out your emotions. That's all.
You know, I love this quote. Is crying is the emotion to know that there was love. You know, like. So when you're crying, the emotion that you know that there was love. There was love. That's leftover love.
Yeah,
you know, that's in you. You know that comes out. So it makes sense because you have that whole relationship in life with that person, and for it to come to an end is very, very hard. And look, it is a process of life. And now, nearly 2 years on, I have my good days and bad days. There's always some moments like, you know, Christmas coming up, and it's always those same sort of moments that really get me.
Yeah. When you do your family gatherings, if it was a family member that you've lost, like Carolyn's lost her mum, I've lost, you know, my grandmother, my grandfather, and that's hard as well. Hard. So I can relate to that. So all your family, your dues, you know, Christmas, Easter, birthdays, even when it's their birthdays, Mother's Days, Father's Days,
everything just comes into fruition. And I find it even with me. The grieving, it's called secondary grief. I know all these terms from these things, but you keep secondary grieving because what happens is it's like, again, with those birthdays and that, but even like if I see a grandmother with, you know, their daughter, I grieve. If I see mother and daughter, I grieve. But I've gotten better. Called? Secondary grief.
Okay,
it's actually called secondary grief. You keep grieving. So if you feel those emotions and stuff like that, that's grieving.
Okay.
But I've gotten better. Like now, I used to be very, you know, in some ways I used to see mother and daughter and I couldn't actually handle it. Like it actually, at first, you know, it really, really got to me. But now I'm actually quite good with it. Like I actually think, how lovely is that, and how lovely what I had with her. So I look at it in different aspect. There will be times that, you know, it is harder, but I do look at it in a different way. But that's a lot of healing.
Does that mean you've dealt with it?
Yeah, I've definitely dealt with the grief. But that's been a lot of work. The work does come in, and I'm saying not only just counselling, but again, from my last topic, self-love. So a lot of meditation, a lot of reflecting, time on my own to reflect, to really sit there, to cry, to really understand what my body has been through. Because what happens is, when going through a trauma, you're on flight and fright mode. That's what they call it. And all this stuff. And flight and fright mode is like when your body is on, like, it's like being on reserve battery.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you know how you're on reserve battery? It's like you're continuously being on reserve battery all the time, functioning. But you're not really functioning. When you're in flight and fight, your brain cells rewire. They're actually rewired. They're different.
Right.
So you can't process information that you used to process. You can't take information. So it's not good to make rational decisions as well. That's true. They say, like, if someone's grieving, like, even like they say if someone's grieving, you know, at least wait like a good year to make big decisions. Like, say if you want to move, or if you want to, you know, things like that, like big decisions in your life. Because you're not thinking with that rational brain. You're thinking with the fight and fight mode, and it's so interesting. So it's so chemical. It's all about that as well. So so dealing with it, you know, like I found a lot of that just taking time and really just letting it in, letting the pain in. It hurts.
Oh yeah.
It damn hurts. It's like, you know, and obviously, like with my singing and stuff, I did a song for Mum, which is about missing you. And the reason I'm just saying this now is it's dedicated for anyone who's going through grief or gone through grief, because if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it literally just tells you what grief feels like and what your hopes are for the future to feel like. And that's because you don't know where to go from here. You don't know what steps of your life to go from here. Everything kind of changes, and
that makes
sense. Life is still beautiful. That's the one thing coming out of it this side. Life can still be loved. You know, for 1 year I used to go and, you know, like happy things would happen. You know, like my daughter would do something, but I wasn't in it. In that first year, I wasn't in it. I felt guilt about being happy. I felt guilt about. I felt like I couldn't enjoy that true happiness. I'm like, am I ever going to enjoy being happy?
Like if I laugh, is that a bad thing?
Yeah, but like I wasn't in it. It's like I was smiling, but I was faking it.
Really.
I wasn't feeling it in here. I didn't have it in here. And that, I tell you, if you are feeling that, that takes time. That will come. The happiness will come back, and you will feel rejuvenated and even more happy. You really will.
Yeah.
You really will. You'll feel good again. And you know, you change forever, and you would maybe find that with yourself. You change forever.
But you do. Like, you got to remember that when you do lose a loved one, part of you
is with them.
Goes with them.
Of course it is. My heart, your heart goes with them, and they will be with you as well. But that's what I'm saying. It's hard. It's not an easy notion. But I think everyone has their different ways of dealing with it. But I think that if you can really take the time to really take it all in, and it's okay. Being busy, like being proactive and stuff, will help, but you've got, if you are being busy, you've got to have those times of pauses that you can sit there and go, hey, okay, I'm going to just take some chill time, and if the tears come, let them come.
And talk to your loved ones that you've lost.
Yes, talk
to
them. I do.
Well, we believe, I mean, everyone's got their own beliefs and everything.
We're spiritual in a way, yeah.
But myself and Caroline, we both believe, you know, when you've lost a loved one, that they can still hear you. You talk to them. They will still, you know, be there in spirit. You know, like one bit of an incident that I had was when my grandmother passed away. She passed away about 7 years ago. I think it's been now. It seems like a long time ago, but to me it seems like it was
nothing.
only yesterday.
But that's how grief feels
still
like.
To this very day kills me. And you know what? Coming up to my wedding, it's
hard.
It's been really, like, I've actually 7 years later, and I'm still crying about. I still cry about it.
Of course,
especially
it never goes.
Coming up to the wedding, knowing that she's not going to be there. That kills me, and I know that I'm going to wake up on the day of the wedding, and I'm going to have a cry in the morning, more for her, knowing that she's not there with me.
And you know what? But
I know it's a good thing. But the thing is, I know that she will be there in spirit.
She will be there with you.
And can I just say, like, you know, as we were saying, that we are a bit spiritual. We believe that if you do talk to, you know, ones that you have that have passed, that they can still hear.
Okay. So tell us what just happened.
Okay, guys. So just thought we'll let you know what's just happened. As you can see, we are in different clothing. The video actually stopped while I was in the process of speaking.
Yes. So we're going to finish Crystal's story and finish up our...
So it's a completely different day now. Yeah. It's very hot. It's about 32 degrees today.
Yes.
We are in a different location and everything. Yes. So please excuse our sweatiness or anything. but we will continue off. So where were we? I think we're up to story of my grandmother. So basically, a story that I'd like to share with everyone is when my grandmother passed away, I was receiving little white feathers. I know it may sound like, oh yeah, there's white feathers everywhere, but inside the house, in my drawers where my clothing was, and my drawers are always clean. So folded clothes after they've been washed, feather. On my birthday, my first birthday without my grandmother, was very hard. It was emotional, and I just started talking to her and basically said, you know, give me a sign that you're here, that you're here with me on my birthday. And all of a sudden, I found a feather on my bed. There was no feather on my bed. How did they get there? And I was just blown away, and it made me realise, okay, these are signs from my grandmother, I think. But I just wasn't too sure. I thought, maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know, that feathers, I don't know. So, another time was, you know, when you make your tea and you've got those, you know, with the loose leaf, you've got those little tea, little, what do you call them?
I don't know. The loose tea?
It's a loose tea, you put it in the little clip.
Oh, the clip thing. Oh,
the clip thing. And then you put it in, then you put it in your mug to let it just sit in there. Okay, obviously when I use that, I wash it, put it back in the drawer. I went to make myself a tea, I opened it and there was a feather inside there.
Wow.
Okay, now, please explain that one to me. No idea. So then I actually Googled the meaning of white feathers, and the meaning of white feathers is a symbol from someone, a loved one that's passed, that is basically trying to reach out to you to let you know that they are around, that they are there by your side, and they're there in spirit with you. And so it was very emotional just reading that, thinking, oh my God, so this whole time it was my grandmother.
And you got a tattoo and with it?
So basically with one of the feathers that I found, I kept it in a little satchel, and I took it to the tattooist. And for my 30th birthday, one of my friends, she actually organised to have it tattooed on my wrist. So beautiful. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably a bit of that. But yes, I've got the exact tattoo of the feather on my wrist. And since I've had it tattooed, I've never come across
because she's
a feather, because
it's your reminder.
She's constantly there with me. It's permanently marked on my body that she doesn't need to leave.
You know what? I should do something for Mum.
You should.
The thing is, I know what I would do for Mum. It'd either be a sunflower or a rose, but I'm very funny with roses on tattoos. I've seen roses done, and I really fear that can be in a tacky way. So I'm a bit like, that's why I haven't rushed into it.
No, don't rush it. Make sure.
I don't know particularly what I want to do. And I know, so her symbol is a rose. Rosa, rose, love, roses, green thumb. But it's like, it's hard because that symbol and having a tattoo, it's like
once it's on you, it's permanently there. So you don't want to stuff it up, especially if it's something that means something to you. And I found that once I actually had this popped onto me, it was a form of closure as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it was really nice. Like, it's still really hard that she's not here, but you know, like, I just look down at my wrist and I see the feather and I think,
gives you
she's
comfort
here with me.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I agree.
My daughter had similar things just with Mum. After she passed away, one time we were in the car and we're driving along, and I said, you know, you slept in your bed last night. She goes, yeah, I did. She goes, Nonna was there with me.
Aww.
And she would just say things like, you know, I'd be crying, I'd be upset, she'd come up to me and she'd say, you know, you'll be okay. Nonna says not to be sad and she loves you and all that. And she was like 3. And
they say kids actually see.
The first 6 months, she said, then it calmed down. I think it was the first 6 months a lot. It was a lot. But it's like she was I need to hear that. So she was my link between it. So she was giving me all these messages Mum through her because she could see her. And so I got all those messages from my daughter, and it's stuff that you couldn't explain. You wouldn't know, like a 3-year-old, the amount of things that came out of her mouth, you would be like, I don't know, you can't get those things out of her mouth. It's like Mum talking to her. So it was, full on. So we're very spiritual in that. So let's finish off, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. We hope you, I can't say really enjoy, because it's not an enjoyable topic, but
found comfort and
that's important.
And for yourselves and anything. And loss is not necessarily, and grief is not an easy thing to get through.
No, it's not. But you know, as long as you can find some form of way to manage your grief, and whether it's to go speak to someone, see a counsellor, speak to a friend, speak to a family member, just make sure you reach out and do get the help that you need. Don't just keep it bottled up inside you, because it's actually not good for you.
No, it's worse thing for you.
Let it out. Just cry. Just have a good cry. And
me too.
I know, to this very day, I still cry.
Of course.
I still do it. And it actually helps a bit. But just always hold on to the memories, and, you know, just keep thinking about those memories. And, you know, because I'm sure they're all almost on the happy memories that can put a smile on your face and get you through that moment of sadness.
And they say crying is love that's just bottled up. It's just love that you've had that is still there, it's bottled up. So crying is getting that out. So awesome. Thanks for watching.
Carolina Kristal.
Hope you all have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.